So we're gonna just jump right in today. Lands of Lazrikaan. We start off with like last episode, and we see like this farmhouse village, and we see like a well, and we see uh, a group of and we see like the rain coming down, and the camera kind of rotates to where we see um, Fash, the Whisper Gnome, sort of like unit commander with his pistol out in the rain. He's sort of in the rain with trained trained on what as the camera swivels we can see is the death cultist known as Rassen, a woman with dark hair in the same sort of like armor, the same sort of like outfit, and a curly haired stranger who looks purposely tousled hair, standing next to them wearing the same armor. And we just see this. The standoff, we see like the Rassen with his barbed dagger out, poised to move, and we see and then we see like as the camera rotates around, we see like the storm. We see zombies starting to come out of we see like the glowing eyes of zombies coming out of the forest, and then we switch to a first-person perspective from Avaria, and Avaria will give us that first-person perspective.
Okay, here we are. I gotta help Basbear get these zombies. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. Okay, Basbear got those. Saren is down. Okay, no, I'm the zombies. I got them. I got the zombies. I got them. No, I didn't do it. Arthur, Arthur's falling too. I gotta help with the skeletons. Stop! Oh my gosh! I didn't think I could do it. I stopped the skeleton.
Oh, you were cutting out. All right. Yeah,
Mayday,
and
Mayday, we lost your transmission.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
as we and maybe as we're like hearing this, we're seeing like flashes of what her thoughts are about. Like maybe we see from the first person perspective, like Saren go down, and then see, the first attempt, and then see Arthur go down, and then see from the first person perspective what she sees as she manages to accomplish.
Sorry about that. My kid walked in and I muted it because he was like, "What's going on?"
I get you.
Yeah,
I'll hand
I
it
can keep
back to you
going.
then. Yeah, go
Yeah,
for it.
yeah. So she sees Arthur go down. Oh no, Arthur! She stops the skeletons. They stopped. Oh my gosh! She looks over at the curly haired man who grins, uh, knowingly, and he says, Levanti, shouldn't we take this back to the barony of Deltrix or something like that?" But as she kind of blows this off, Basbeer comes over and helps her uh, cast off the skeletons, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, they just saw me do this," and yeah, that's where I'll stop.
All right. Yeah. And maybe we come back like maybe the like we get the title sort of screen, maybe we jump to the title screen, which is like, you know, uh you know uh a raven flying, and this time instead of flying over Malberg, it's flying over like the woods, the wooded areas, and the farmhouse that you guys are at. And we get the title card of Chaos Blood. And what's the date here?
It is the
Where
20th of Decto was the last thing that we did. So if we haven't slept, then it's still 20th Decto.
actually, because you traveled for a few
Oh yeah,
days. you traveled till day 4, it looks like, because that's where the first storm is at, and that's where you were. Well, day 3, it started to rain while you guys were, and it's storms all day. So the next day, so uh, I guess it'd be the 24th,
Okay.
right? So, and maybe you
24th.
guys are. Maybe you guys are, unless you guys want to go straight to the 25th, which is like rainy but not storming anymore.
That's fine with me.
So I
Might make it
imagine you
easier
guys
to
are
travel.
Yeah.
right. Okay.
And give Basbeer some more time to heal his compatriots.
All right. I think we come in as, Decto 25th, and we come in on the scene and it's raining, and you can tell there's been a storm here. There's down trees, down tree limbs, there's, wind damage that is very apparent, where there were definable tracks before from the skeletons and the undead and the scuffle. There's just sort of like a layer of mush and mud. But maybe we get you guys are sort of like loading up on the cart and getting the horses together, and I think we get a moment where Fash probably stops to talk to Arthur for a minute, and he kind of like he as he's kind of he's like, "Hey, Arthur," he's like, "We're we're about to set out on the road again, and we know there's undead here, and we know the cult's around. We know that they've seemed to have had eyes on us. I'm gonna need you to keep your eyes extra open. Instead of on point, I'm gonna ride point, and I want you running outrider, flank, back, rear, wherever. Keep your eyes peeled for anything unusual. We've seen so far these guys like to attack at night, and so far during a storm. But anything's possible, and I don't think the undead themselves are gonna follow a pattern."
I think Arthur is probably by his horse, lifting up saddlebags onto the horse, wincing, holding onto his side where the skeleton had cleaved an axe in. Winces and just gives him a bit of a look for a moment, and then it's like, it wasn't like I was planning on sitting this one out and taking a long nap. I'll see what I
Yeah.
can do. The paths are going to be little more than mud.
He says, you're the only other person here that seems to be skilled enough in survival and tracking things in the woods, as it were. Is and he says, I know it's been a rough go lately, but hopefully things will improve when we get to Holliff. He goes, rain can't hold out much longer. Storm's broken. So, and like I think he probably like maybe he kind of pats you on the shoulder and goes and probably heads over to talk to Basbeer.
Yeah. Basbeer is continuing to take notes in his big book. I'd say about an eighth of this book has already been filled at this point.
I think he's like, he said, think I can pull your, it says, think I can pull you away long enough for a conversation.
I'm always one to listen.
Well, I'm hoping to listen to you. He goes, and he kind of like looks around at everybody else who's busy doing stuff to load up and whatnot, probably. And he's like, so what do you make of everybody here on this little unit so far?
Basbeer probably scratches at his beard at that, kind of thinks for a moment. He says, "Well, the bonds of friendship have not yet been met, kinship much less, and we're rough around the edges to the point of potential detriment. But it is what Seda wishes, and Seda understands the threads of fate better than I or you might ever."
What do you make of there's a couple of folk in general I want to ask you about, in specific, I guess, be the better word. What do you make of Arthur?
Potential. A vagabond at the moment, but vagabonds turn into greater things. I've had dreams where Arthur was the one who saved our lives. But of course, that's peering into one thread, maybe not all of them.
There's just a curiosity, and and he goes, "What do you make of our scholar Avaria? I didn't see."
Bazbeers. Oh,
Yeah,
go ahead.
he says I didn't see what happened, but I caught some reaction on the back end of it. What happened?
Bazbeer is going to probably take an extra couple steps away from the group, leading Fash.
He'll walk with you.
Yeah, and Bazbeer will say, "The threads of fate are often curious, confusing." And he'll say, "If I have not seen what I had seen already, I would accuse her of witchery. But knowing a few things and seeing the way that things can potentially play out, I believe that she will be an invaluable asset, one that might need an eye on once or twice. I believe that, well, what happened back there would be something that you might turn your nose up at, something that I turned my nose up at. She rebuked. 'Twas not a turn, 'twas a rebuke."
That's not a good thing. He goes, there's a so there's a big question mark over that one's head. Is that kind of what I'm getting?
If you would permit me, I would like to try and take Evaria under my wing. Not skill-wise or by training, but to keep an eye on her.
I think that might be prudent. You know, if what you told what you told us about your people is true, then it would seem natural to have somebody familiar with this stuff keeping an eye out.
He says, "And if it ever comes to my people, if we ever do see them, which I sincerely hope we do," he says with a stern look on his face, he says, "this must remain the utmost of secrets."
Oh, well, that is our trade as an intelligence unit. He says, a little question out of a little question, maybe a bit of a favor to ask. I want you
Aye.
to kind of keep your eye out, just as an early guess. If if the group had to take orders from anybody, say I was separated or captured, who do you think they'd be the most likely to take orders from?
He once again kind of scratches his beard and he says, "Under normal circumstances, I would say that it would be unlikely that they would take orders from anyone quite well. But if I were to say, who was most, as the phrase I've heard recently, wet behind their ears, I would suppose that Arthur would be the most reasonable. He shirks responsibility, but underneath it I understand that his heart is as good as it can be.
He goes, I appreciate your assessment and your time. He goes, he, and he kind of looks at it. He's like, I might be asked. He says, it's always good to have multiple perspectives on things. Yours is something of an outside perspective
He would
with a
say,
little bit of inside knowledge.
he would probably say, those of us that live past the death wall, well, this is, for better or for worse, a part of our culture, a tattoo bared upon our soul.
And he kind of nods. He goes, and your people must really be something to live that close to the Vestia and not succumb to
He
the.
kind of he kind of has a grim look on his face as he says this, and he says, the dagger points, the hammer stops.
He just kind of nods. He's like, and he kind of nods and he said, and he kind of pats you on the back and he goes, I appreciate your time. And
I
maybe, yeah, I think probably he would, like, after everybody kind of gets, like, while you guys are loading up, does anybody else need to have a scene with anybody on a conversation?
No, not Varia.
All
No, I don't have any.
right.
Nothing, chef.
All right.
I'm focusing on putting everything back in the cart and getting comfy.
Yep.
Travel.
Yeah.
Batspear probably, you young whippersnapper, you better not be taking my spot in that cart.
I cleared your spot out and kept an eye on it so nobody does.
Ah, thank you, lad. As he groans old man style, climbing into the cart.
All right. Well, I think maybe we get a bit of the travel thing. So, Arthur, I'm going to need some spot and some survival checks from you.
Right on, right on. Skills. I think I put my skill points in. Spot. Survival.
Awesome.
Consistent.
Not bad.
All right. So, throughout this day, you are able to keep an eye on things and you're able to like help navigate, get between you and Fash, you're able to help navigate getting the cart through the mud back to the main road, which is a little bit more packed because it sees more traffic, so it's a lot not quite as bad of mush. It's still kind of mush, but it's not as bad.
He's finding the spots that had where the road is more packed dirt rather than deer trail.
Right, exactly. So but you do notice something with your survival. You notice that you get this sense like you're being followed. Like you are being followed, and um, the most obvious thing to you is you're seeing signs of gnolls in the area. Um, there are the gnoll zombies and the gnoll skeletons that have passed through here and whatnot. But knowing the difference between undead and living, you're able to tell that there are living gnolls in the area too. Um, and it's really hard to tell whether that's what's tracking or following you, or whether it's agents of the Cryptside cult, or something else entirely. But you know for a fact that there are gnolls in the area, and that you're pretty sure you're being followed. Like
So,
that somebody's keeping an eye on you.
does this seem like, are there signs around here that this is Gnollish territory?
Well,
Like, are we
see,
on their turf?
here's the thing. What you would know, and you'd probably know this from a 22 survival check anyway, is that gnolls oftentimes tend to be very nomadic. So they could realistically have originated anywhere and be traveling through this area, or they could be, or they, it's unlikely that they're staying here long term. If they're in the area traveling from one place to another. Whatever their motivation for that might be, sometimes that's they've overhunted an area and have to move somewhere else, or sometimes it's simply because they can't sit still for very long. Other times it's because people have hired them for mercenaries. Um, so it's kind of hard to say, but you do know that gnolls travel a lot. So if they're in the area, then they either have business here, or they have some business here, or they are stopping off before they travel on. So
I think that in that case, Arthur has been out riding, but also coming back. Basically, going out, coming back, going off to another direction, coming back. And he's not
right.
trying to disrupt that pattern. So the next time he comes back, though, he will saddle up close to whoever all are on the cart, either with the animals or in the back in the actual cart, and lean over in the saddle towards them, be like, Gnolls are following us. Can't tell if they're still alive or not. Act natural. Keep your eyes out.
Yeah, I think Fash for his part would caution and be like, don't make any sudden moves. Just kind of play it cool. We don't know what they want yet. They could be after our supplies. They could be just making sure that we don't stumble into something that of their interest. We don't know if we're even their primary interest. This
Hey,
is
Arthur
Basby.
nods at that and then tilts his head back towards the rear of the caravan we've got going. Well, I'm going to make my way back there just so that they know that they've been seen. Not going to start anything, but I want them to know that this is no easy hunt.
He goes, just don't get yourself too far out from the group. If they think they can pick you off, they'll try.
I've watched enough wolves to know how they hunt.
And he kind of like and Fash kind of nod, gives you like a barely perceptible nod.
And at that, he'll give a whistle to his horse and pull back and move towards the rear.
Well, you make it the rest of the day, and they never seem to close on you. But you are at the point where you have to stop and rest for the night. You kind of, unless you guys try to travel through the night, in which case you will start getting exhausted.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, Basbeer is just casually writing in his book as if nothing's going on.
What are you writing, Basbier?
I think he'll turn to Avaria and goes, well, it was not always Basbeer foreteller. At once I was Basbeer the chronicler. It is what I know. I write everything, he says as he continues, and then he goes, I'm even writing this conversation.
As we have it,
Say what?
as we have the conversation, you're writing the conversation.
Aye. You see a big fat period after he writes the word I in Dwarven.
Dip, 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 dip.
Yeah.
Like Avaria like smirks and is like, no, if I talk to you, you have to write it down. Is that correct?
Not have to, only the essential things. I assumed that understanding that I am writing down conversations is an important part of our journey.
Oh, I wanted to see if you could write everything I said down, but apparently you're no fun.
Ms. Evaria, my people do not understand fun. We understand utility.
Very well. You are the crankiest old man I've ever met in my life.
He says as he continues to write.
And this is another I in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
But yeah, I guess we get settled for camp.
All right. Yeah. So I
Given
figure
that we have gnolls about, how easy or difficult would it be to, like, using things that we either have on the cart or are easily accessible, make, what are they called? Noise lures? The tripwines that have things on them that rattle when they're tripped.
Ooh, we have a unit inventory for this.
you do.
We have ropes.
I have rope, trust me. I know
Yeah.
enough about 3.5 to know that you have to hoard rope.
Oh yeah. We have fishing tackle, pints of oil. Those could come in small. Are the pints of oil in individual pints, or are they in an oil can?
I think I meant for them to be all together. Like,
Okay.
maybe
can.
they're.
Well,
'Cause
the best I
even-
could think is taking our fishing tackle and, well, fishing hooks aren't going to make very loud noises.
Even if we don't, my thought was if we didn't have anything in the inventory, Arthur could scavenge up like acorns and other nuts and things that will rattle together on the string when the string is cut or tugged.
Tell you what, I will allow you to make a survival check to see if you can find some appropriate stuff to help you make, sort of like the alarm
Noise
system,
traps.
noise traps and stuff.
Just because Arthur is comfortably paranoid.
13's not bad.
You're able to find some. You're able to find some stuff, that might help with making noise and stuff. You find a couple of rocks with enough grooves in them that you could tie some string around them without them slipping out. You find maybe you find some maybe you find like a few fish bones or something from a fish that presumably washed up on the banks and died there at some point. Who is going to attempt to turn this and something from the fishing tackle into some noise traps? Because it sounds like this could be an engineering check too.
I don't got no crafts.
Never do I.
I can make an untrained knowledge engineer check with my ancestral knowledge.
That's then that you can go ahead and try. Yeah, go ahead and give me that roll.
Yeah, okay. Basbeer's not great at engineering.
You try to remember anything from your engineering courses, and all you can think about is like how much how much fun you had in like your handwriting studies for chronicling properly, like your cursive classes, as it were, your dwarven cursive
Yeah,
classes.
yeah.
You just like You're like, but I remember I hated engineering, but I remember.
I'm not
Like,
I'm not used to the simple machines, but I could tell you how to put together a field battering ram quite easily.
Have you ever heard
right.
of Have you ever heard of trebuchets?
Yeah. I was
So,
thinking about field trebuchets, but then I thought, no, wait, they're underground. They wouldn't have a trebuchet.
You're not. This is a fantasy setting. There could be such big ass caves down there.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, no, Bazbeer comes up with zilch.
uh, well, it's not that you don't make something, it's just that its effectiveness may be questionable at best. Just so
Yeah, yeah.
I think, if no one else suggests it, then Fash will suggest setting up a watch.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like that was understood. But Arthur is putting these up not along the main thoroughfares into the camp, but
Right?
along hidden paths where he would assume that like hunting-minded humanoids would try to make their way.
Right, right.
Bazbeer will take second watch, because it's the hardest watch, and Bazbeer wants to take the hardest things.
Okay.
Go
He's-
first.
All right. So I guess I will need first watch is Saren, so I guess I will need some spot and listen checks from you.
Nice. Nice.
You don't know what all the hubbub is. As far as you're concerned, they got to be crazy if they think gnolls are following you around. You're not hearing or seeing anything. You're just like, I mean, the I can hear the river from here, and it sounds pretty relaxing. But
I can't tell
but
if that one's snoring or if it's that one that's one of them is snoring, but I'm not sure.
yeah,
Worry
you're
about it in the morning. Anyways, that's a nice leaf, though.
right, totally distracted. Basbeer, let me get your spot and listens.
When you wake Bazbeer up, he, as always, wakes up with a loud start. He doesn't sleep well. He's cursed with visions of the future.
Is it? I got a question. Is this the first time I've woken you up, or just general knowledge thing? Have I woken you up before?
That's a good question. A dealer's choice, honestly.
Okay, because I was thinking if Saren knows how you wake up type thing, he would know the proper processes to do it to where it's not as bad as the last time. Like he's learning each
Yeah.
time.
Okay. Yeah, and like it's hard to find a proper way to wake Bazbeer up because he's easily the noisiest sleeper. Like he's always like muttering in his sleep and like seems to frantically turn side to side. Like he does not get restful sleep. But yeah, those are my checks. I think Bazbeer probably wakes up and goes, "Oh, my watch. Okay."
Yeah, so I think that one snores. There's a cool leaf over there, but other than that, I don't know what y'all were worried about. Enjoy. I'm gonna go to sleep.
He gives a weak, half-hearted smile towards Saren before like Saren walks off, and he just puts his hand in his head and goes, "That boy will be the death of us." But yeah, I got a 22 and a 14, listen and spot respectively. Hello?
Yep. I was muted, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
So you don't see anything specifically, like, but you hear um, various things that you would take to be cues that something out that is out there. Like you hear what sounds like what sounds like maybe wolves or something. Like, and then you hear like maybe a couple of wolves interacting, and then you hear like like one of them makes a really loud noise that's hard to tell what it is, but then it sounds like those the sounds of the wolf. At least one wolf is retreating from something, but something clearly disturbed these two wolves. Like you're there's something out there, and whatever it is frightening enough that a wolf would probably run away. So you'd guess maybe either something pretty big or a group of somethings.
Mm. Yeah, who's our third watch? Because Bazbeer would definitely relay that if we've got a third
Maybe
watch.
should be the ranger.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Yeah. So, like you wake up Arthur.
Yeah, Bazbeer probably wakes up Arthur and, gets uncomfortably close to Arthur's face. You can smell his terrible breath. And probably says, "Young one, there is something in the woods. It has not made itself apparent yet, but it was enough to delay two predators from interacting with each other. Something large or something many."
I feel like Arthur's face just kind of scrunches up at the bad breath.
Mm-hmm.
And he slowly sits up and gives you a look, says, "There's something in your gullet and it's making itself apparent."
Bazbeer just frowns at that. You just a scowl. He says, "I."
But he sits up and rubs the sleep out of his eye. I'll go back to bed, old man. I'll take it from here.
I shall keep vigilant. And Bazbeer will trundle his way back to his sleeping arrangement.
Right.
Arthur will arm and armor himself, and then he'll do a spot and listen.
Alrighty.
I hate how they're slightly off center. And then listen.
Better than me.
Third 22.
I'm gonna
How
let you make
odd.
and I'm gonna make you let you make a survival as well. Since you have survival.
Dead even.
Um, well, much like Bazbeer, you hear like that the forest is not making its normal sounds. Like something it reminds you of when prey become aware that there's a predator in the area, right? Like maybe every now and again you'll hear some animal make like a noise that you could potentially identify as maybe being a warning noise, and then you'll hear a lot of like rustling as things run and move, but you don't it all seems to be moving away from you, um like all of the animals anyway. Like whatever is scaring them is in the area and relatively close.
Yeah, I think at that, Arthur is keeping a weapon drawn and as still and quiet as he can, probably crouched down next to a tree in the shrubbery to try and, if something's trying to ambush us, why not ambush the ambusher?
Right. Do you want to make like a hide check here? Hide and move
Yeah.
silently. Try to slip into the shadows yourself.
Move silently. Bad bush.
Good footing, bad bush.
Very, very, very quietly move behind a shrub that is like about half your size and crouch behind it.
There's a very quiet man behind that shrub.
Hold on, maybe everything about whatever's hunting us is based on sound, and that was actually good.
Yeah.
He's
We're being hunted by a
bats.
T-Rex.
Yeah.
No, that's sight.
Yeah.
In which case, oopsie.
Hmm.
No. Yeah. Okay. Who's on fourth watch?
Avaria, take it.
All right. So Arthur, like you kind of get to the end of your third watch, and you go to wake Avaria.
Yeah, I'll go and almost in a like boyish, skittish way, doesn't want to go into her tent, so he'll kind of like rattle on the fabric of the outside and be like, "Wakey, wakey."
Because that's not even more creepy.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
wakey, wakey, but
no.
also being like, "But I can't like be in visual sight.
No, I get
That
you.
would
I
be
get you.
untoward."
Hey, don't wake me like that. That is terrifying.
Not
Is
as
it my turn?
terrifying as whatever's out there. Just a warning.
Why aren't we getting up and taking care of it? Why are we doing watch?
Because for all we know, it could just be a bear. But there's
Okay.
something out there that everything else is afraid of.
Well, if it is my turn, it is my turn. And she gears up and heads out.
Go ahead and give me a spot and a listen, but there is something that's going to be here.
Ooh.
Ooh. Yay, I'm glad I get to go last.
Now I get to get killed by
Yay!
the.
Arthur, give me a spot and another spot and listen too.
Yay!
Did you pass on the curse?
Why did you
Maybe.
keep me up? Man,
Listen.
there's a peep there that is very interesting. I should tell
Okay.
Sharon about this leaf.
So there's going to be something everybody is going to hear one way or another, but this is just to see how much, advance. Archer, as you're waking Avaria, and maybe it's probably while Avaria is still, sort of like grumbling about things while she's not aware of it, you hear something much bigger move, and right before you hear that, you see a whole bunch of birds fly out of the sort of like the trees behind you, like not not too awful distance. And the moment you see that, you hear that a lot of crackling as if something very large was charging, and then all of you hear one of the loudest, most feral roars you have ever heard, and then you hear a lot of barking, and you hear the sounds of some kind of fight going on in that direction. Something. So if those were gnolls following you, or if the gnolls were following you at all, then they just ran into something very big. And
A bear, it sounds
give
like.
me, well, actually, give me a survival check here.
Bears.
Everybody?
Those of you who have survival,
Oh, yeah, no.
or if you have knowledge dungeoneering, I'll accept that too.
Ooh. Once again, ancestral knowledge comes in
What's
handy.
funny is my survival and my knowledge dungeon are the same thing.
Archer,
Every
I think that's probably enough. Honestly, that is not a bear. That sounds a whole lot more like a werewolf.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
100% then he is calling out to everyone where he's like, werewolves, lycans!
Fash
Oh.
kind of like, yeah, Fash kind of like is already jumped up at this point, and he's like, whatever's going on over there, I think it just bought us an opportunity to get the hell out of here.
Yeah. Bazbeer
Okay.
rolls out of bed. Oh, go ahead.
Cool.
Okay. Bazbeer rolls out of bed groaning and just going, "Oh, it's too early for fighting."
Meanwhile,
Not too early to
Avari
be running. Pump those dwarven legs.
Hi.
is actually like packing things up and like to throw it on the cart.
Whatever is going on over there, it sounds like it is a horrific battle. The sounds of crashing and blood curdling howls and screams and whatever's going on over there is all kinds of not good.
I think that Bazbeer looks at Arthur and Saren and goes, well, I believe we found our ravage.
I believe I don't want to be around to know if you're right. As he's throwing like a saddlebag on his horse.
Right. You see Avaria walking by like with the tent and like just a ball. Throwing it in the cart.
Like, yeah, all of us are like aggressively throwing things. Oh, who cares if they're in the right place? Into the cart and be like, we need to get out of here now.
Yeah, a bunch of low-level D&D adventurers just heard the word werewolf and went goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Well, you manage to get on the cart and get rolling as the sounds of whatever battle is going on back there sort of like get quieter and quieter as you move on. I am going to need some Arthur, I'm going to need some survival checks. Whoever is driving the cart, I'm going to need an animal handling check. And whoever is riding on horses, I need riding checks.
All right.
I think my survival checks are going up one at a time.
I will do a
Which is funny.
animal check.
So you're driving the cart?
Rolling.
Oh, God.
Womp womp.
Man.
Oh my
Alright.
gosh. The macros hate me today.
I'm telling you. Who's on the horses?
Be a good maybe for Tamir. Weren't you doing it last time? Don't you have like actually psychotic animal handling that made us all go, huh?
I got a psychotic charisma and makes me do animal handling good.
Well, there
Nice.
you go. I don't got any of that.
So do I.
Yeah,
Just rolled a one.
You
That's
may
true.
like Ivaria lurches the cart forward and the horses immediately are scared and confused because she's just like does not know how to get to take off quickly the right way, and
Mhm.
like they both try to like work against their like harness, and it brings the wheel of the cart right into a massive rut. So
Oof.
yeah,
Oh, my-
so uh I'm going to need a combination of things here to get you guys moving. I'm going to need either an engineering check, or I will need further I'll definitely need an animal handling check, but I'll need either a survival or an engineering check here to help you guys get out.
Well,
I'll,
Kamara shoves Avara out of the way to take over the cart.
Right?
I'll
She's like,
provide the survival.
Like,
all right.
I'm sorry, I'm shaking ever since somebody said a werewolf. Like,
There we go. Bazbeer does remember unsticking carts from Mud 101.
Bazbeer, maybe this is like a thing like you've had. It's the same principle of something you've had to do, like in Tumble Dark before. Like the caves around are sometimes have like places where the carts will get stuck that are similar enough in principle that you're like, oh well, if I, take this over here, maybe you find maybe you manage to find a couple of branches to wedge in that the cart wheel can actually get some grip on to get out of the rut. And um, it doesn't matter who actually is the one who physically shoves them in there. Like you're the
no,
one who
he's
knows.
like, chocks! We need chocks behind the front wheels! As he's
Maybe
like
that's
pointing.
yeah, maybe that's what Archer is doing. Yeah.
Oh
like
yeah,
maybe,
Archer just like leaps off his horse, slides like the back of his hair, his tunic, everything is just going to be covered in mud, but he slides under there and is just shoving them in and trying to get them as tightly under the wheels as they can get.
Yeah.
Aaron, what's the
Saren, he's gonna jump down and try to like lift up the cart so that you can get the wood underneath the wheel just right, and just use the strength to get it moving.
I'd say a 21 is plenty enough to get you the like sort of like the clearance that Archer needs to get the wheels in. You guys get it back up and running, and it's the first time you've actually looked like a team, and you all realize that this is a moment. This is one of those moments where everybody kind of like, as you're getting the wagon moving, you all kind of look at each other and go, "Shit, we just worked better as a team than we ever have."
Yeah.
Like you get the cart moving, and even Fash seems impressed. He kind of like raises an eyebrow, and he's like, "All right, well, I guess let's get the heck out of here, because we ain't trying to deal with that back there." He's like, but here's the caveat. For the next entire day, you guys are going to be fatigued because you didn't get a full 8 hours rest, and you had to like get up and jumping, and your whatever spells you've used are or things that require the 8 hour sleep are not replenished.
We spent an extra day at the farmhouse, though, right? Getting a full
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah, but this is like you're a day out from the farmhouse now.
Okay.
And that's the night that got interrupted. So
Well,
you're
I
like
still got my
26.
spells then. I'm doing good.
So
Yeah,
you're,
never mind.
but you're on, but you are all fatigued, and I do need some survival checks and some spot checks from uh from every from
Here comes the survival check.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not bad.
hey, at least you're useful here. You know that you're an integral member of what's going on.
I know I'm as useful
God, dog,
as
I got
long
a
as the
0.
dice allow me.
Wow.
Avaria,
What?
Avaria, you actually at one point almost managed to fall off into the river as you're traveling beside it, and somebody has to like pull you out.
Oh, for sure. It's probably Archer like
Yeah.
wheels over, catches her by the scruff of her like collar, and pulls her back. Is like, no, no, no.
He's like, how are you so calm about a werewolf?
Because calm or scared, I'm going to be tired and covered in mud either way.
I
I think Fash agrees with that too. He goes, he makes a salient point.
And Archer just looks
Or at least I
like
can spot.
all of his back is covered in like fresh mud, and he just looks so tired and can't even like. There's enough mud he doesn't even want to open his canteen to get a little tipsy right now.
Well, so the weather has cleared up. It's not raining anymore. It's still muddy and nasty, so you're still having issues. But you're a little further on. So let me get let's see. And Arter, you are not currently seeing signs of being followed. Whatever happened back there seems to have given you at least some respite for now. But you have a feeling that whoever won that clash, whatever won that clash, they'll be back at some point. There's a good chance to run into them.
But we got a head
Plus,
start at least.
yeah. So give me another survival check, and why don't you? I don't think we really need like ride or animal handle. Well, maybe we need some animal handling checks for the cart. So, Tamir, why don't you give me some animal handling as well? Tamir, it's a bit of a struggle, but you managed to keep keep the cart moving.
Okay.
You know, it's not an easy day, but everybody else, to anybody else, it's like, man, I couldn't have gotten through that. But to you, you're like, God, that was rough. you know, uh, Arthur, you're on day 8 now, which means it would be, let's see, it was 25th, 6th, 7th, so 28th of Decto at this point.
Okay.
And Arthur, you're seeing signs of the trail being picked up, your trail being picked up again. Like it's nothing that's caught up to you yet, but like your ranger senses are on alert. You're like, yeah, there's something moving behind us again. And, it's still too far out to tell whether it's like a group of gnolls or if it's that werewolf or whatever else it might be.
Something's picked up our scent again.
I hope it's not a werewolf.
Fash is like, yeah, I kind of hope so too, because where we're going, we are not trying to lead that thing there. A village full of people and any kind of werewolf is a bad combination. That's a slaughter. Like, um, so day 9, go ahead and give me animal handling, and it's still clear, and you guys managed to get a good night's rest this night. Yeah.
Excellent.
So you're not fatigued anymore, not suffering penalties. So let me get
Tamir,
survival and handle animals. So
Tamir, give yourself a +1 as I give you guidance.
Okay. I like that. So that would be a
Nice.
15.
15. Hell yeah.
awesome. Today's a much easier. You seem to have gotten the hang of it, and the ground is starting to firm back up a little bit because it's been clear for a few days now. So I don't think you'll need to make a check tomorrow. But Archer, it's hard to tell how hard the pursuit behind you is, or if it even is a pursuit or just happens to be going the same direction. But there's still something out there that is at the very least heading in your same direction. Whether you're like on its radar or not is hard to say. But if it is gnolls, they are pretty good hunters. So
That's something that Archer didn't say out loud because he didn't want to freak anybody out. But everyone's
yeah,
like, "Oh, the werewolf." He's like, "It's either a werewolf or it's people who could kill a werewolf."
yeah. I mean, like gnolls are pretty good hunters, but then again, so are werewolves. So
Mhm.
you know,
That's why he's like, sometimes you have to be afraid of the guy that can hunt the scary thing more than the scary thing.
yeah. And you don't even know how that battle ended. It could have ended with one side or the other fleeing the battle. It could have ended in a stalemate. There's any number of ways that could have gone down.
That's probably a quiet thought of Archer's, is if the Knolls won, there just ain't no way that they didn't get out of that without suffering probably egregious casualties.
Yeah.
Which is why he's not going to say anything today unless anyone specifically asks, because Arthur is operating under the assumption that we are just happening to go in the same direction, and as long as we keep good pace like we are, we're not going to have to deal with whatever that was.
Think Fash probably gives you a knowing look every now and again, or like around the campfire. Something that maybe I don't know. Arthur, you would probably notice this because you have the most reason to spend time with Fash. Because I'm sure there are times you both have to divert off and check something out. But as far as anybody else is concerned, I'm not sure who all might notice this, but Arthur, you've noticed that Fash has a habit of in his quiet time, he will edit if he's not writing reports or actively checking the surroundings and stuff. You'll notice that he carves little toys and then just
Huh.
kind of puts them in his pack. He doesn't really say anything about it. He doesn't really make any kind of like thing about it. But he carves like like little wooden knights and little wooden dragons and little sort of like little figurines and like a little top or something. He might make like a little top or something like that. But he didn't really make a big deal out of it, and it doesn't seem, it doesn't seem like there's a particular like intense focus on it. It just seems to be it's hard to say, but at this point it kind of looks like it's just something he does with his hands while he's, you know, in his
It's
quieter moments.
well, not a nervous tick, but something like that.
You know, maybe a habit for when he's just thinking or something, but you're like you like up to this point you've noticed it. I don't know if anybody else has. I mean, is
I
it
don't
this?
think that Arthur necessarily brings it up, but it's one of those things where maybe his looks towards Fash soften just a little bit because this is something that, to Arthur at least, makes Fash look less like a nobleman's toady and more like an actual person.
Yeah. Well, and you've noticed like a very different, like except when he's like sort of on trying to be on top of being in charge. He seems more relaxed out in the outside of the capital. I mean, not like he seems stressed, but there's just a different aura about him. Is it that he seems, despite the danger, he seems a little bit more comfortable in a way.
Yeah.
You know, um, you get the impression that he doesn't particularly like being kept on a short leash all that much. So, but like, go ahead and we're at day 9. So go ahead and give me another survival check. We don't need an animal handling today because the ground is firmed up. It's just normal work. All right. Day 10. Go ahead and give me another one.
Dang, you've been rolling pretty good.
Don't say it out loud. They'll hear you.
Give me
Oh, thanks,
11.
They heard
Ah.
you.
Ah, my bad. I cursed the quantumly random dice.
So, like on day 11, you have maybe you don't think, oh, we've lost our tail or whatever, but
But you've lost sight of the or
you
lost track of the tail.
yeah, you kind of don't see any specific signs of them there at this point. Um, so give me another survival check. Yeah, you've
That's all we-
completely lost track of them, and because you're thinking of them, you're not really like maybe there's a moment where Fash kind of looks at the sky and he's like, I think we're gonna get another storm, probably in the next day or two. He goes,
How many days out are we?
well,
Yes, how many more rolls?
we're 2 days. We're 2 days out from 2 days out from Halef, but you might. He says this to Arthur. He's like, you might test the waters, cause it may behoove us to ride through the night tonight and see if we can't get to Halef and beat the storm. He goes, talk to everyone. He says you're kind of right. He says drop back and bring it up to everybody. See how everyone feels about that. Because we're either going to get caught in a storm a day before we hit Halef, or we're going to have to run through the night and sleep hard when we get there.
Yeah, Arthur would give an understanding nod before falling back to the rest of the group. Looks to everyone. Well, looks like we have one big family decision we need to make. We can either ride hard through the night, get no sleep, but all get to be in comfy beds, nice and dry, or we can try and risk the storm that's coming.
I would rather ride all night and not have to face a werewolf.
These books don't prefer rain. I also side on riding all night.
All right.
Looks to Mir and Saren to get everyone's opinion first.
Well,
Well, as long as the horses can handle it, let's go through the night.
Like, I know I could handle it, and I was thinking the same thing they were. Does the horse make it through the night? That's my only concern.
Bring it up with Fash. I'm glad to know that we all agree that a nice warm bed is better than a tent in the middle of a storm. He'll
I
ride back on ahead and deliver everyone's opinions to Fash, along with the concern about how hard we've been pushing the horses and if he thinks they can make it.
he's like, well, it's going to be a challenge, but so far Avari has held so far Tamir has held the cart down pretty well. He goes,
Maybe he does go to save Arya because she was doing it the
he's
first leg and then she got
yeah, and he's
kicked
just like,
out.
yeah, and then he corrects himself. Tamir is like, it did a very has been doing a surprisingly good job with the horses. I don't know how it is where she comes from, but she at least seems to know how to drive a cart. So like it's the
She's
kind of
all
thing I was worried
secrets.
most about. He kind of nods and he's like, "Yeah, I hadn't forgotten about that, but her secrets don't seem to be the kind that are as immediately stressful as some of the others." And he goes, all right, tell everybody that we're gonna have to ride hard. He goes, and he's like, so I am going to need an animal handling check from Tamir,
Give yourself guidance.
and I am going to need a who I know Fash is on a horse. Is there who else is on a horse? Is it
Arthur.
Arthur? So give me a riding check.
Yeehaw.
A little.
We take tens. We take tens.
All right.
Tens are C's, and those make degrees.
Yeah, yep. Degrees of success. Oh, ho, ho.
Not in this system.
Yeah, that's true.
I think I think we get like the montage of you guys riding hard, and like this is clearly everybody who's not riding a horse has to be on the cart. Like that, like whereas you might normally have a couple of you walking just for space, this is everybody overfill the cart and and ride hard. Like and Arthur, like maybe you're the one that kind of like falls behind a little bit here and there. Um, trying to coach your horse to get the extra distance, but you manage to make it to Halif. As the as the storm storm clouds are really starting to gather. And like the horses are super exhausted. And I think he probably Fash, when you guys get there, kind of gets off of his horse and hands the reins over to Arthur, and he's like, "I'll go arrange for our stay." And the tavern itself is just sort of on the outskirts of the village. Like it is a village very clearly, but it is and it's clearly a farming village. There is like a dock for a ferry that travels, between Green Creek and Straightport and Holliff. But at the moment you're kind of like early morning and you're exhausted. You don't see the ferry there at this point. Um, but but you're in Holliff, and Fash is like, I'll go arrange for our stay. Uh, I guess that he's like he probably, since he's like looks at Archer and he's like, you mind getting the horses stabled and getting, and he kind of like he kind of says, he's like, have Tamir help you out. We'll get the horses on the cart unhooked, get the cart into any kind of stable shelter they've got. He's like, rather not leave it out here. He's like, and he disappears into the inn to take care of arranging, the money situation.
I think Arthur just kind of blinks at how quickly Fast, just like mid sentence, kind of just meandered off and disappeared.
He's just like,
Looks back at
he's tired
maybe
too.
like Tamir is there and is like, how does he do that?
Oh no, but it's something I'd like to learn.
He's yeah. What are the rest of you doing? Like,
Oh, my bones! I can tell a storm is coming. Is this what it's like on the surface for you all?
More or less.
Oh, it's horrible! He says as he hops off the cart and starts trudging towards the inn.
You get used to the rain. It's fine.
Why do you think we all drink?
Like I'm
Let's
gonna
have a
help.
point. Help.
I'm gonna help you off the cart and then help get the horses and stuff away and get the cart set up. Just be a massive helping hand type person.
Oh, nice.
Saren's going for good boy points.
Yeah, I respect it. Bassbeer's not helping shit. He's just walking towards the inn. He makes sure that our chest is locked. That's the one thing he does always do, is he's always making sure the chest is locked.
Man, wait until he finds out about the enemy that knows knock.
Yeah, right.
right?
Oh, he knows, but he figures that you don't want a fog cutter lantern just going missing because some kids decided, ooh, that cart looks like it has shiny stuff on it. Like,
True.
Archer, you do find that the stable hand has, like, there is a place that they can park wagons or carts or whatever. They do have trade up and down the river, So, they do have some amenities in terms of like that a traveler might need. Those of you who are out and about, like Basbeer, probably when you get into the inn, and I suppose Artur, Tamir, and so Saren when you like are dealing with the stable hands. Give me, I don't know, give me some spot or sense motive checks, whatever works best for you.
All right, give me a second. I'm navigating the sheet.
The curse has been vanquished.
Spot.
All right, let me try again here.
We are all very antisocial people.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
nice.
So Artur and Ivaria, well, pretty much everybody but Saren, who seems
Aw.
relatively oblivious.
Hmm.
And maybe it's partly because he doesn't get it as much. I mean, maybe he's more recognizable as being from the area, just by way of dress and sort of like body language. So maybe he doesn't get it as much as the rest of you. But like Artur, you are very aware of this, and the rest of you to varying degrees. Avaria and Artur, you're most aware of this. But they the people around you that you're interacting with or that see you coming into town seem to view you like suspiciously. Like you get a bit of side eye from people. Like they get trade through here, but you're getting the impression that they're a little mistrustful of outsiders at this point, which, you know, to you,
Understandable.
yeah, yeah, which is understandable given current events, but also like, you know, yeah. I mean, given the fact that the inn is on the sort of outskirts of town, probably adds some fuel to the idea that maybe they're not as maybe they don't like outsiders all that much. You know,
And
um,
for his part, Arthur's keeping up his persona as the rough and tumble vagabond, not someone to be fucked with, but someone who is just here to, do a job, get a drink.
yeah,
Had a point, now he wants to have a pint.
yeah. It's not
Yeah.
like anybody's outright rude. Like they, if anything, it seems like they go out of their way to not be rude, but they also don't seem to trust your group very much, with
I
possibly
just
the exception of
waved it.
Saren.
I
Yeah.
just waved to everybody. It's like, hey, how y'all doing? Oh, you look familiar. It's been too long. It's been too long since I've been here.
Avaria. Oh, sorry.
Good.
Yeah, Avaria puts on her most arrogant airs.
Okay.
She she really lays it on thick in terms of her like her researcher persona.
I think Basbeer is going to take a intentional -2 for being oblivious to these surfacers' problems, and is going to not notice at all. Basbeer is an old man with a mission, and that mission is a glass of water and bedtime.
Okay.
That and everyone's probably looking at Basbeer weird because you look
Oh,
strange
yeah.
even by dwarven standards.
Oh,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
no.
You like-
Funnily enough, the only thing that parts the perfectly pale white face that is like Basbeer's face is like dark bags under his eyes from being up so long. That's it.
Basbeer and Tamir are both very exotic looking compared to these people. Like you guys the two of you stand out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Archer stands out mostly because the sort of regional thing of, oh, this one dresses like he comes from the north, or Avaria, probably similar because you come from the north as well. Sort of the northern part of the region, but like Yeah, like Bazbir and Tamir, you're both extraordinarily exotic looking to these people. So you get the most looks. But yeah, eventually Fash probably lets you guys know that he's gotten rooms arranged for everybody. So you're all free to go get some sleep at your convenience, though you have been, since you've been riding through the night. He himself is going to go get some sleep. He's like, I've secured the rooms. I'm going to go get some shut eye. And then when I wake, he says, then when we all get some rest, we're going to see if we can't figure out booking passage down the Stalic River. He
I
says,
say we need a bath too, because that mud. I still got cakes of mud from a couple of days ago.
It's in my
Agreed.
hair.
Let's let's hope that there's no stable keepers' sons who are making deals with undead in this in this village. No one. I don't want my sleep disturbed by nonsense. And she like heads towards the room.
Yeah.
because they specifically target the stable hand son in every village.
Yeah, yeah. All
We
right.
want to
Yeah.
recruit you.
They got a type.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They got a type. That's good. Bazbeer will, as said before, grab his water, drink it all in one prolonged chug, set the glass or set the mug down on the bar, and then go upstairs and collapse into bed.
He's all about that chug life.
Absolutely.
So, let me see something.
I mean, Arthur's going to do a little bit of carousing because why not come to a town if you're not going to carouse a little bit, bathe, and then go to bed?
We are at Decto, which is passing through because there's exactly 30 days in. No, 16 months, 500 credits, 4 weeks to a month.
30 days as
8
September,
weeks
Tecto,
to
June, and November.
8 weeks to 8 days to a week. So that would mean that was 4, 32. We would be at Decto 30. Would be Decto 31, right? Because I said,
That
Yeah, so
sounds
we start.
right.
Yeah,
yeah,
we started at Decto 25. And then uh yeah, that sounds right. 31
yeah.
sounds right.
So like tomorrow is the last day of Decto, and then it moves on to the month of Persip. Which means you are right about halfway through spring.
At least we got plenty of the year before we have to deal with winter.
Right? Winter is coming. I strike that from the record. I don't want to get sued.
Winter is
Strike
on the horizon. Trademarks.
Winter is approaching.
the cold, the very, very cold season will happen.
Cold's coming.
Oh no,
So,
one more level, and I'm not worried about the cold.
so is everybody pretty much getting themselves some sleep?
Yeah, full
Oh,
night's
yeah.
rest if possible.
Bath, beer, and bed in that order.
Right? So yeah, so are you sleeping until the next morning? Because you get there in the morning. Are you just gonna sleep and rest for like that whole time, all the way to the next morning, or are you gonna wake up at night and be up at night? How are you gonna do that?
Uh I see a lot Avaria getting going to sleep, like taking a bath, going to sleep,
Mhm.
waking up like halfway through, getting some food, and going right back to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Bazbeer
Oh,
wakes.
Come here. Come here.
Bazbeer wakes up multiple times, mostly of his nightmares / visions, and will walk downstairs multiple times in his small clothes. Like he doesn't really care. He's wearing like a nightgown sort of thing, and he'll just walk down to the bar, ask for another glass of water, chug it, and then go back to sleep.
Okay, you said small clothes. I was like, is this man just walking out in the buff? Like,
No,
he's
no,
got
not.
his dwarven shorts on.
Yeah, his dwarven tuchus is out.
Yeah,
No,
like he's just got his titties out.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's probably quite the sight, but he's quite socially oblivious.
No, I like the idea that he's got the like Dickensian nightgown and
Yeah.
nightcap.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was envisioning. Maybe not the nightcap, but definitely the nightgown.
Right? Yeah. So you guys manage to get your sleep and get up the next morning and whatnot. It's been a hard road getting here, but you're like effectively halfway to Green Creek, and um, I think Fash, whenever he meets with you guys, would probably be like, well, first order of business in any village is to gather whatever and all information we can, and I've already gathered that the ferry is out and won't be back for a few days, but our needs are a bit more pressing, so we need to find an alternate means. Here's here's there's why don't you guys split into two teams? I want one team finding out everything we can about what's going on around here, and one team looking for some kind of boat to get us down that'll get us and our cart and stuff down the river.
Dibs on boat.
Dibs on boat.
Agreed.
Bazbeer looks at them and says,
If there's space for one more, I doubt you want me speaking to most people in this town.
That leaves me looking for information.
I will.
Oh,
speak to
don't
the
worry.
people.
You could come with me. I'm pretty sure I can remember. Well, it's been a couple years since I've been here. We'll find
I
people
will
to talk to.
fine. I will go with Saren. It's fine.
Like, he kind of looks at. He's like, so Tamir, Saren, and Avaria, you're gonna ask around and gather information, and the rest of you are going looking for a boat.
I
All right.
Oh,
He goes, I'll keep the center. He says, I'll keep the center here. Report back what you find. And he's like, as for me, I'm pretty much. He says, as for me, he goes, I'm gonna find a messenger, send a couple of reports back, and kind of see what I can garner from the innkeeper. He goes, he's like, and I think he pretty much goes back to his breakfast meal. Like he's managed to. They do actually have turkey here, although they can't get him a whole turkey leg, but he's got like a plate full of like turkey meat and like maybe some corn or something.
"Oh,
And
poor
that's
Fash
what
is
he's eating
roughing
on.
it."
Yeah, he's just like he kind of shrugs his shoulders.
What point is there in living?
He's like, that's the only thing I miss about the capital. You can just walk up to a street stall and they've got turkey legs. Here, yeah, it's a little bit different. He kind of shrugs.
back where I'm from, you're lucky if you get to eat meat. Most of our diet is mushrooms.
He kind of looks at you and goes, that sounds awful.
I
Writes down I in his book.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
That's going in the book.
Out.
So I'm going to need some gather information checks from everybody.
All right.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Let's see how this goes.
Let's go gambling. Aw, dang it.
Gambling times 2. I have a +2 to this, and I hit a 19.
I didn't do too bad.
Yeah.
I did okay.
So, okay. And Basbeer, you went to help find a boat. Okay.
Yep.
So at
So,
least one person from each team has not completely fucked up.
Yeah.
So we'll start with Avaria and Avaria and Tamir. So you
And
guys
Saren.
and Saren.
And Tamir.
Saren wasn't able to find much out, but um, Avaria and Tamir. One of the things you find out, just sort of like in general, is that there are a lot of people in Hollis that are just here because they work the farms. There are some that are here that are traders. There are some here because they are, provide other, general services like, the local smith and the, general store and all that, the normal things. But what you find out is there's something a little under the surface. Talking to everyone around here, each one of them claims that at least one other person in town isn't exactly as simple as what they seem to be. They're especially people who, have originally come from out of towns. And what you're getting is that most of the people here represent somebody's interest. Like there's rumors that there's like somebody that here that you know there's somebody who says that that claim that one of the serving girls at the inn is actually feeding information back to Narset, um, to a trade company there. There's rumors that that the Druid Circle has a number of you know informants around town. There are those that say that there are um, rumors of various like different organizations out of Gale Rocks, New Narset, even the baronies of Malkane, Daltrick, and the Duchy of Ocanther, to some degree, seem to have somebody here that they are that sort of has their agenda at heart in some way, shape, or form. It's like nobody is quite exactly what they seem to be on the surface, is what you're kind of getting here. And you hear a number of organizations thrown around. You know that there are people that you hear that there are people that are rumored to be spying for a group of bandits, looking, trying to get information on caravans or traders that are going from point A to point B. Tamir, you actually hear a story that backs up that the song you heard in Malberg. A rumor that that a man came through here a man that some people said was from Green Creek came through here looking at first he was looking for anyone who could bring his looking for clerics of like sort of say Dandor or Arya or Aerie or or any of the other sort of like House of Salvation gods to resurrect a woman. But none of the clerics around here have sufficient power for that. Rumor has it that someone told him they might have answers to his dilemma, and he disappeared. He was rumored to have left town with them. But Some people say that this guy was recognized as a trader from Green Creek, a merchant of sorts, a small time merchant, sort of down on his luck, wasn't having a lot of success, but he was working, hard working. Nobody can seem to remember his name though.
Hmm.
Okay.
Bazbeer, as you're asking around, like as you and as you and Arthur are sort of like are sort of looking around and what have you, and you guys are trying to figure out. Maybe you come across there's a farmhand who looks at that. Maybe when you guys are talking to him, he was uh, uh, he's trying to think how he would come about this. He like this farm. Maybe his farmhand is kind of like he he's like maybe he's intrigued by your exotic appearance. He's like you look you look like you come from a little too far north, fella. He's like where where you what are you looking for passage downstream for?
My
We don't see
reasons, my reasons are my own, and the implications of your statement I find offensive.
goes. He's like, yeah, no offense, but you kind of look a little undead yourself. He goes,
Undead! Tch!
Aye.
It's on the ground.
he goes, oh, well, either you're a self-hater or you're something else entirely. He goes,
I am Bazbeer Foreteller, herald of the Tumbledark Dwarves, the Othurin's final child to be birthed out of her front gates!
kind of looks at you. He's like, wow. He goes, I had a friend in the. I had a friend in the Wooden Foot that traveled pretty far up north. He said there was some strange stuff up around that parts. He goes, of course you can't always trust a smuggler to tell you the truth, right?
Yeah, I think Bazbeer just kind of stony face nods at that. like Bazbeer is very brash and straightforward, and he's probably like,
So, do you have passage or nay?
Archer, give me a local history check.
Ba-ba-ba-ba.
so knowledge local or knowledge history.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the same for me.
Dang.
You're not even paying attention to this conversation as far as you're concerned.
I
Bazbeer's yelling at people again.
I feel like this specifically is more he's not getting the niceties of the conversation because this guy just called Bazbeer an undead, and Arthur knows enough to that to be kind of like they're ready to spring in case Bazbeer starts like trying to fucking kill this guy.
he's like, he's like, he goes, I don't, I don't know how to. He goes, you know what though? He goes, I know somebody who might. He goes, but he goes, he goes, and he kind of looks at you, Arthur, and he's like, you you gonna make it worth my while?
Depends on what you're considering worth your while.
Well,
You
you
can't
say
bleed a stone, nodding towards the dwarf.
well, you say you're looking for passage down the Stalic River. Somebody with a boat. He says, I might know somebody. What's it worth to you?
Bazbeer lets out a deep sigh and says,
You people of the surface, so petty in your view, so minuscule in your designs.
and he'll reach into his pocket and pull out 2 gold coins and say,
One for each of your eyes when you die of what happens to everyone else here.
He looks at the coins and he goes, he looks at the coins and he looks at you, Arthur, and he's like, your friend here is a little, and he goes, your friend here is a little grim, isn't he?
Archer just leans in a little closer and says, "Listen, where we just came from, we saw an entire farmstead butchered and thrown into a well to spread an undead plague, and we've been chased here by a werewolf. I think we all have our rights to be a little grim."
He's like, well, whatever your reasons, he says, 2 gold coins will get you, will get you will get you a name. He says, you want to talk to the Wooden Foot or smugglers. They whatever deal you work out with them, you're gonna want to keep under your hat though, because they're good at what they do, but they really don't like prying in. They really don't like people prying too deep into their business. What they do ain't exactly legal, and most of them aren't trying to get caught. And he says, there's a. You want to talk to the Wooden Foot. If anybody's got a way to get you through this, get you a boat and get you downstream, they'd be the ones. You're gonna want to talk to. You're gonna want to talk to Gailrad Tackard. She says she passes through the area sometimes. She usually doesn't get too far along. I heard she was around. Where specifically she's staying at? Couldn't exactly say. Half elf. He says, let me go up the description here. There's one of them half gem elves. She's got amethyst eyes and ruby hair.
yeah, Bazbeer is...
Sounds like a woman with expensive taste.
Oh, she's a half gem elf. The hair and eye color are natural.
I'm glad to see that everyone's a fucking comedian.
He's like, says, well, I was thinking the same about you. And he kind of chuckles. He's like, anyway, it don't make no never mind to me. He says, and he says, he says, if you don't mind, I got to get back to work before the overseer sees me slacking off.
Bazbeer is going to grab this man's arm and with 1,000-yard stare, look him in the eyes and say,
You will have a child. That child will grow to be a greater man than you, and you shall die in ignominy.
and then he's going to let go of the guy's arm and just turn and walk away.
Yeah, he just looks at you and Arthur and shakes his head and says, I think your friend needs to lay off of the silver stripe mushrooms. kind of And he kind of grabs his he kind of grabs his rake and goes back to work.
I don't know. Hasn't been wrong yet. Turns and walks after him.
Bazbeer, and I think Bazbeer actually, once they're out of earshot, Bazbeer will sigh and he'll say,
Truly, these people do not understand the danger that they're in. Petty gold, simple enough to buy off someone's favor.
Because that's all these people know is the day-to-day living. Well, survival, not really living.
Soon they shall understand the smallness that wick burns to.
With any luck, they won't. giving him a more pointed look.
Bazbeer will probably scratch his beard and go, Aye, aye. Let us convene with Fash.
Leave these lot to their blessed ignorance.
And Tamir, Averia, like, what does this look like as you're trading notes back and forth of, various villagers that are reputed to be representing some other outside influence?
Avaria's like, how is this village full of spies with ulterior motives? That seems unlikely.
It's like a bad play or something from back home. Oh.
One
Northerners make no sense to me.
Two traders, maybe. The entire village?
It must be a bad play. It has to be.
It's on the river. To me, it makes sense. I mean, people come and go all the time. It would be a great place to go.
Yes,
and you're one of them Northerners I'm talking about.
Yes, I am a Northerner.
Yeah, that's weird, Saren, because to you, Artur and Avaria are Northerners, and she's a Southerner, but to her, you're all Northerners.
Done with.
Well, my dad maybe, but my mom is not. I spent most of my childhood further down. I trained with my dad. So I don't know.
Why?
I might be
Maybe
more.
maybe they found a boat. And maybe we can get out of here and not have to deal with the drama here, and we can continue our goals of into and getting to Green Creek. Hopefully we
Yes,
can get out of here sooner than later.
And then we can say hi to
please.
mom.
Yes. And she pats Saren on the shoulder. Yes, we can say hi to your mother.
I feel like this is the moment we walk in and Arthur makes sure that it's just us here and goes, "Who's ready to work with criminals?"
I've read about these smugglers from the past. Not a common problem where I'm from, but apparently a solution for our group.
I think Fash is like, criminals? He goes, well, I'm not above it. He goes, he goes,
I love
I
Fash.
think Arthur just immediately stops as Fash says that and gives him a look that's like, no. Really?
Really?
he's like, well, it's one of those things. He kind of chuckles at your look and he goes, hey, if you're going to do this for a living, and he probably looks at all the rest of you pointedly, you got to get real comfortable making a few compromises.
I'm more
Ethically
surprised that
speaking.
you're not just some sort of reformed criminal yourself.
I've had
I hit the
some.
nail on the head, didn't I?
He goes, I've worked in that. He goes, I've trained with a few people. He goes, but
I hit the nail on saying it a bit louder, just for the benefit of the group.
It's like, not like that. We train in the same kinds of. I train in the same kinds of things that your normal criminal would. An intelligence agent needs to be able to sneak, gather information, pick locks, create and disarm traps. The whole routine. Anything a thief would need to do, a spy needs to do. Difference is, they're stealing physical objects. I steal information.
I'm sure that at least one turkey leg has made its way into your hands without the cook knowing.
He chuckles at and he goes, I don't know if you'd call that theft exactly, but
I know that the barony most likely would.
I'm pretty sure I got a little leeway there. he goes, but he goes, but you mentioned something about having a solution to our current dilemma.
There's a group of smugglers around these parts, call themselves the Woodfoots or something like that.
Wooden foot.
He says, like, correcting him, reading from his book.
Just waving his hand like a whatever as he continues.
Whatever, Grandpa.
There's a half gem elf around here. Gaelrad. If we can talk to them, a woman with quite literal amethyst eyes and ruby hair, and hopefully better sense of humor than that dockhand, well, we're in a spot of luck for finding a way downriver.
Wait, so we need to find this Gaelrad and this half elf Gaelrad. She can get us moving on this.
Aye,
Aye.
Gaelrad Packard.
I feel like they both say I at the same time.
Yeah.
Just so the dwarf has to put it down twice in the book.
And he's like, I think he kind of looks around at Avaria and Saren and Tamir. He's like, "What are you?" He's like, "And what did you three turn up?"
I didn't turn nothing up, so I talked to random people, but it was just general "Hi, how you doing" conversations. They didn't really give. What you two get? I'm sorry. Never mind. I'll be quiet.
What we got is that we would like to leave this city very fast. But
Oh, such a bad play, this village. Everybody's conspiring against everybody else.
yes, it's a headache. I would rather not be here instead of being in a village where everyone is against everyone else.
He goes, "Well, as far as I'm concerned, our business is to head down river." He goes, "So the sooner we find this Gaelrad Packard." He goes, and he kind of shakes his head. He goes, as soon as we find this half elf, hopefully we can strike some kind of bargain with him. He's like, so it would seem our next task is to find this person. He's like, says, I would imagine that it's probably a good idea I imagine it'd be a good idea to ask around now that we have more specific something to ask about. See if we can find this person so we can get on down the river.
Yes, agreed.
Your circle seems a particularly wide one, Mr. Fash. Have you any leads?
He goes, be honest with you, I wasn't even sure the wooden foot even was still in operation. The last time I talked to an agent of the wooden foot was, God, I think it would have had to have been 2 years ago. I was investigating a completely different case. I think at the time I was looking for I was looking for something very specific from one of the that had been stolen from one of Baron Malkane's visiting associates. Could have swore we shut them down, but apparently not.
Strange times lead to strange bedfellows.
Yeah, well, here's hoping they aren't holding a grudge against yours truly, because that can make things a little stickier.
From
Is,
the way that these surfacers carry themselves, and from what I understand of what a smuggler is, I'm certain enough gold will smooth over any niceties.
Our dear dwarven friend apparently hasn't had to deal with the greedy sort.
Well, I guess you learned a lesson today. Money money'll smooth a lot of palms.
If
At
only
least
they
that's
understood.
yeah. Well, Prionis, and he makes a sort of a warning gesture that maybe you don't recognize, but certainly like Saren and Avaria and Arthur probably would. That is just sort of like a generalized warding off ill omens of the gods when you speak of them kind of like thing. He's like, that's the way Prionis likes them. And uh, most of you would recognize the name of Prionis the Smooth Palmed, which is sort of the patron god of thieves everywhere.
Right.
So,
Um, she says, what are we doing waiting around here? Let's find this gem elf and get what we need. So,
so
oh my gosh.
you'll need to make some more gather information checks.
Got it.
Let's go gambling.
So,
Come on, gather information.
Where is it?
Won't be a zero.
Where's-
Yes.
Why can't I use my Iajitsu focus?
Yeah, I keep seeing that.
I'm, I'm, I'm really fast at drawing my sword. Does that give me information?
It ain't a thing, baby. It just be how it be.
I am the Batos Knight. Tell me everything.
Dang.
I went
Uh,
gambling. I did a little gambling.
You got a 5% gamble win.
you
Man, that casino would be done if it had a 5% win.
Yeah.
all right. So it is now taken up most of the day because it took you guys all morning to find the information you did find. And Archer, Avaria, you're going to, especially because you're both 20 or above, with one of them being a natural 20. I got something special for you guys.
Ooh, nice.
So maybe it's getting to be really, really dark. It's nighttime, and maybe the two of you have run into each other and are on your way back to the inn. Everybody else has either made it there or is farther back somewhere in the village or on the farmlands talking to people at this point. But as you're kind of like walking back from like the dock area, you 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 are startled, both of you, when you come across, like, maybe as you're walking past like a small like granary type shack and whatnot, where maybe food is kept when it's being shipped up and down the Stolic River. And uh, a man steps out from the shadows abruptly, one that you recognize, wearing all black armor. And he kind of looks at you. It's the man with the curly hair from the farm. And as soon as you see him and start, he puts his hands up and he goes, "Whoa, whoa! I come in peace this time." He goes, "Heard you were asking a few questions around. Happen to be in the neighborhood."
What do you want?
Yeah, I feel like Arthur, like the guy came and he reached for his piece.
Yeah,
So did Avaria. Avaria has her bow drawn and pointed at him.
he's got his hands up and he's like, "I come in peace at this time." He goes, "It would cost me nothing to give you a little bit of a hand here. After all, you're looking for someone I personally have no interest in." He goes, "You're looking for a Gaelrad Tackard, not Packard." You must have heard the name wrong. Because you have Jim Elf, agent of the Woodenfoot.
Someone a bit harder for you lot to corrupt than a stable hand's son.
He goes, well, so everybody is motivated by something different. Some by greed, some by grief, some by ambition, some by a sense of justice. He goes, hard to know what motivates a person until you get a moment to talk to them. I'll tell you where your Woodenfoot agent is, but you may want to put a little urgency behind it.
What did
Why
he do?
is
Me? I did nothing. He said, I know things, however. I know that at least some of what was out there in the woods, out there on the road that you were concerned about, has made its way close to here. And I know your friend Gailrad is about to stumble right upon them, or perhaps the other way around, is probably more of an accurate description. Tackard uses a Tackard uses an old abandoned barn. It is somewhat north of somewhat west of here, of the village proper, where she generally runs much of her merchandise through, and where she generally stays when she's about the area. Most people don't know it. Most people think the place is haunted or that there's some curse upon it, but really nothing so mundane. She simply keeps enough traps and illusions about the place to ward off would-be curious investigators. But I suspect your friends from the road and a rather unfortunate run-in that friends of mine have had are about to run into her, and they won't be as dissuaded as a curious villager by her little traps and alarms. If anything, it will annoy them. He says,
why are you telling us this?
oh, no reason. Maybe I like you. Maybe I like the cut of your jib. Maybe I respect your temerity, if it were.
Oh wait,
Um,
she's
I'm
here?
gonna do a sense motive. I don't know. I don't know whether it's gonna work or not because I have
Yeah.
terrible
Oh, go for
wisdom.
it. Go
But
Yeah.
I'm
for it.
gonna do it anyway.
Let's go gambling.
All right.
Eh? Not bad.
Man,
Not bad.
all right. Terrible wisdom, go. Yep.
Yeah, neither of you can quite read what this guy's angle is here. Like he's like he leaves it at that he kind of looks at it, he says, honestly, you can act upon my information or you can choose not to. It's up to you. Though if it means anything at all to you, I assure you this is no trap. This is completely separate from my other job. He goes he says he says, besides, he says, I'm rather amused that your friend with the scaly skin gave pause to Rassen. He's a bit of an asshole if you haven't noticed. Maybe that's why. And he shrugs his shoulders and he says, he says, I'd stay and chat longer. But he says, but before I go, I have a question for both of you. And he kind of strangely enough, and quite fortuitous I've run into the two of you in particular. First of you, Mr. Tiller, that symbol you wear, Seems rather familiar to me. How do you come by it?
It was about I give you the 2-word answer I was going to give you anyway. Fuck off.
Hell yeah.
He kind of chuckles at that, and he's like, "And you?" He goes,
Don't
eh,
to me.
he he looks at you, he smirks, and he goes, "I think I like you more." He goes, "I think I like the two of you more than I did before." He goes, "I hope to see you again someday. You may want to put a little urgency in your step, though. I doubt our friend Gailrad Tackard has long before she runs into a rather feral problem."
No, don't worry. I have a feeling we'll run into each other again, corpse pounder.
He kind of chuckles and he goes, he kind of chuckles and he says, "Well, good evening to both of you." And he turns to walk away. He turns and like, actually, I think he would just like sort of back into the shadows again. He not in a way where he's like either threatening or necessarily apparently fearful, but in that way that like somebody who's adequately cautious might do. Just kind of like, I'm going to make sure that I don't take my eyes off of you, but I'm also, not really worried about things either.
Yeah, I feel like the moment he's gone, Arthur makes the sign of Airi, but then
Mhm.
will look to Avaria, not really say anything, but then break in a dead heat sprint towards the inn with everyone else.
Yeah, Varia will as soon as he like leaves, she like spits on the ground and says, uh netherite scum. And then like as Arthur like looks at her and starts and breaks into a sprint, she follows behind him.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you guys managed to make it to the inn. Who's made it back to the inn at this point? Who's still out?
Spear practically didn't leave the inn. He did just enough to like say that he did something and then quickly realized he was not going to be effective in this town.
Hey,
And then his back started hurting, so he came
Yeah.
to sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Then he sat down and was like, and then he opened up his book and he wrote it down.
Yeah.
He totally pulled the old man card. I'm too old to run around that much. I've been up all day.
Oh no. It's partially that, but it belies the more serious issue of Bazbeer is not a people person.
Right. Yeah.
Really?
And he recognizes that.
Really? I thought he was the greatest people person out there.
Yeah, he's the face of the group, duh.
Yeah.
So,
So
Saren, when he goes out to do his thing, he runs into one person and then gets distracted and has a full-on conversation with them about nothing of any importance whatsoever, and that's where he
How's the
spends
ma
the rest
doing?
of the afternoon.
you're taught you find yourself in a conversation about proper irrigation techniques for potatoes.
Yep.
Oh,
It's like it, it- it's the way the guy tells it is just somehow fascinating to you
Hmm.
as he talks about like how northerners don't do it right and southerners just have no clue how to make it more efficient. Like
Hmm.
uh
Just give him a complete sympathy ear and be like, "Yes, you have it completely right," type thing.
it's like he's talking shit about how the Duchy of Ocanther like overwaters potatoes. It's like they don't get as big of a harvest as they could.
Them's fighting words.
So few come out of the north, he doubts they even know how to plant a potato. You know,
Yeah, classic farmer smack talk.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
just talking shit on other farmers. Yeah. um, but yeah,
With
you
that
manage.
things, I'm gonna say that Saren's the one that's gonna walk in late after everybody else is back and be like, "Oh, right, we were supposed to do something. Anybody else get any information? I know about potatoes."
You got like a huge discourse on potatoes and irrigation. Uh, yeah, like you probably come in, you probably approach like right after like Avaria and Archer make their way in. But so we'll kind of start with Archer and Avaria bursting into the inn. So like you manage to make your way into the inn, and I think everybody but Saren is there at that point.
Yeah, I would as soon as Archer busts in, because Archer would be in front of me. But like we look winded and tired and just on edge. And the first thing she says is, "Wait."
We need to go, and we need to go now.
She looks up and he's like, yeah, Fash looks up. Like, I'll give everybody else a chance to react before I get to that. So, like, how does everybody else react?
Bazbeer closes his book, puts it on his back, and just looks ready immediately.
Okay. Tamir, what's Tamir's response?
What was that? I was distracted for a second.
Like, Avaria and Archer burst into the inn, and Archer's like, "We need to go now." Like, what is your what is your response to that?
Why such a rush? Where do we need to go to?
Archer looks to Avaria and then
Wolf,
to. What did she say? Werewolf?
werewolf.
We had an unfortunate encounter with that curly-haired freak who said something about our contact being at risk at whatever's been following us. But he told us where they are.
Hmm.
Information from the snake's mouth.
I don't like it any
Oh.
more than the rest of us, but we need to be going, and we need to be going now.
And Fash kind of looks around and he's like, he goes, "Where's Saren?" And Saren, that's about the time you enter the room. Like you saw them run in, and you're like, "Oh, hey, you got there."
Yeah. So he closes up the conversation with that dude and it's like, "All right, gotta go." And then walks in and he's like, "No, I didn't get much, but I know how to deal with potatoes and irrigate them." Why has everybody got weird looks on their face? Anyways, what's up?
I almost feel like as we start leaving, Archer's just gonna grab Saren and drag him along.
I think Fash is like, I think Fash as he grabs his gear is like, "Well, I don't know if I like it any more than you." And he kind of trusts it and looks at Bazbeer and he's like, "But I don't." He says, "It doesn't sound like we have a whole lot of choice. If this is our one lead to get down the river, then we need to." He says, "But that doesn't mean we approach without caution. Haste, but with caution." He's like, he's like, "Arthur, lead the way."
Archer,
Can
we
I
lead
be
the way.
filled in on the what in the world is going? I'm confused.
This feels like a good time for Avaria's werewolf.
Right, werewolf.
Hopefully, we're not like around locals, and the locals aren't freaking out as this woman has just been screaming werewolf over and over.
And actually,
I know that there are plenty of locals around who hear her.
there's actually a couple of locals here. Mostly it's travelers that stay in this inn, and all of them like start gripping their weapons and stuff, and getting like you can tell the energy level goes up. Like you can barely hear Arthur when he like tells you guys what the rest of the situation is. Because the rest of the travelers, like some merchants with their merchant or two with their like mercenary guards, and a couple of other individuals who look like they're traveling solo. There's like a handful of adventurers and whatnot. And as you guys are kind of and Fash is like looks at you, Sarah, and he's like, apparently our only contact to get out of here is at risk, and we need to go now.
Okay, we'll got this. There's plenty of us to fight it, right? It's only one, right? It's not a pack. Maybe, hopefully.
Jesus.
Oh, Arthur's knocking on wood as he leaves to hope that there is not more than one.
All
Yeah,
right.
Basbier marches out with his shield prominent, the sign of Seta on it, almost gleaming in the sunset.
Right. Yeah.
I would think too is you guys gonna say all that. Saren's gonna activate his soul knife and go. Like he's
Yeah.
Soul knife.
Yeah. So it takes you guys, a little bit to get out west of town to get to the barn that they were talking about. Like he didn't give you exact directions, but you're able to find it. How are you going to approach this?
Well, we know to expect that she has traps,
Yes.
Mhm.
but also these traps are meant to be deterring like locals.
Yeah, they aren't meant
So
to. From what we understand, they're not meant to like harm, just to like make people think that it like haunted, and just to make people run away.
and it also probably means that most of them are along more populate routes that people are more likely to take.
Yeah.
So
That
maybe
makes
we should
like
come in
sense.
through like a side way, but also like best possible speed. Like that's first things first. Got to get there quick.
All right. Give me a survival check. Yeah,
Oof.
you're moving way too fast. You're maybe it's not that you're not trying to look for maybe it's not so much that you aren't seeing tracks because they're like hard to find, but more that you're just in such a hurry you don't even think to really look for tracks and whatnot. Uh Varia, do you have the tracking feat?
I do not.
Okay. Yeah, so you don't necessarily see. What you do see is what you do get from your survival check is that the path you're taking is probably is probably the path that whatever else might be here probably took, like
Okay.
whatever. So
So I tell that to the rest of the group, like this is whichever way whatever we're looking for went. This is probably the path.
like you don't see tracks, but it just from what you're looking around, this makes sense.
We
Like
should keep. We should follow this path toward because the creature went this way. I don't know how I know, but this makes the most sense.
right. So yeah. Well, just the way the terrain, like you would
Oh,
assume that a hunter or a predator wouldn't necessarily stalk along the main roads, especially not like
I
gnolls
know.
who are really good at hunting, and this is the best approach. So,
What she would say was that in my studies, I I don't know much about tracking things, but in my studies, I have learned that predators tend to be either if they are stealth predators, they tend to kind of group around, but if they are direct and they aren't deterred by traps, they are probably going to take this direct path. We are probably on the right path to track the creature.
Yeah. So as you guys get closer, I think for sure Fash is going to dip into the shadows because he's not gonna approach this with a he's not gonna approach this with any less caution than he would anything else. Like he takes to the shadows, and he probably gives you a signal to probably gives a signal for somebody to take point with the less stealthy part of the group. I don't know if Archer, if you're like if you're doing part of that, if you're leading the rest of them in, or
Oh
if
yeah, like
you're being stealthy, or like
this is a moment where Arthur has abandoned that paranoia and is being probably far too brash in the situation.
right. So
Spear's got one mode, and that's go forward. He doesn't hide.
Not in that armor.
Bazbeer is statistically, literally impossible to make afraid. So he just assumes he's either going to die and bring honor to his clan, or he is going to live and bring honor to his clan.
Either way, he's winning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Just stay winning.
yeah, yeah. Fash
Bazbeer-
effectively.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Keep
I
going.
was gonna say Bazbeer is charging straight in. Like,
Okay.
traps be damned.
Right.
Like Ivaria just shrugs and as he charges in, and she just like trots behind him, I guess. Like
right.
she looks around at everybody and just like shrugs and like just trots in.
As you guys approach the shed and get to the shed, like you get closer and you see like a little bit of light coming from the door of the shed, but you can't see much else until you get up to the shed, till you get up there, and you all realize pretty much all at the same time that you have run right into the middle of a thing. There is a group of gnolls standing just outside of the edge of the light coming out of the barn, and there is a woman matching the description of Gale Red Tacker, um, standing like at the door of. I mean, those of you with low light vision can see her like more clearly, but the rest of you, the light is behind her, so enough that you can't really make out the details. And this grouping of gnolls, there is a least a dozen of them, and like there are like, and as you kind of like guys get there, like they turn and look at you, and Tacker does as well, and there's this moment of who the fuck are these guys, and like
Pocket sand.
the gnolls all turn and take an aggressive posture towards you, but they have not attacked yet. So you've got a moment. Everyone, give me some sense motives here.
Ooh,
And
All right.
let's go gambling.
Oof. All right. Well, I am
Premier,
okay.
you have to save us.
14.
Jeez. There's been a lot of wisdom checks this time around. There's been a lot of wisdom checks.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
you
Not my
all,
Except
yeah,
this.
Archer. Oh, Archer. Oh, that's perfect. Archer.
Oh, I did the wrong thing. I moved silently.
Go ahead and roll your.
Yeah,
sense
that
motive,
doesn't
if you can.
work.
But you're very quiet as you
Very quiet. Yeah,
Archer-
there
sense
you
their
go. That's
motive.
about right.
Oh.
Archer, you immediately sense the like you get from their body language that they don't have like while there is some initial tension, there's a bit of barking between three of the ones in lead. One of which clearly the leader with just this giant axe. Another one that appears to be um, someone of importance who's carrying like a long sword and a longbow. And there's another one that you would make out to be maybe some sort of tribal shaman of some sort that or druid that is there, and there's a bit of barking between the three of them. Does anybody speak Knoll?
Negative.
Not me.
No.
None of you. Okay. The one with the bow, uh, they seems to uh, is the last one to bark, and they all kind of look at each other, and it's kind of hard to read what's going on, except for Arthur. Arthur, you can sense that these three are likely the most powerful of the pack. Like the big ones, obviously, with the axe is obvious the leader. You would guess that the one with the bow is probably is probably their chief hunter or scout or tracker. Um, and usually Knowles will have a druid among them. You doubt he's a formal cleric of any kind, but because that really doesn't make a lot of sense in terms
Some
of
sort
like
of
what.
wise man, though.
Yeah, but the one with the that appears to be the master hunter starts sniffing the air around you guys and begins sniffing closer and closer to uh and it appears that he's getting that he's like sort of zeroing in on something, and he sniffs to he walks up to you, Bazbeer, and he starts sniffing around you.
Bazbeer, understanding that this is a delicate situation, um, is going to stand firm and glare at this thing, but not move.
Yeah. Your defiance seems to agitate the other gnolls, but this one doesn't seem to be bothered by it. He kind of paces around you and sniffs at your book on your back. And he's going and he kind of sniffs at the book and he grabs it.
Ooh.
And he starts and uh like this is a moment that like the tribe seems like or the tribe or pack or whatever they are sort of seem to like get higher energy for this, and um Arthur, you're pretty sure the glare that the big one is gives off in that moment is sort of a warning look, like when he sees you tense up.
Yep.
And
You guys. Sorry.
He's gonna make
ahead.
a very small gesture towards Bazbeer to simmer.
Which Bazbeer looks more upset than you have ever seen him look so far. He looks like he is about to fly off the handle. He's not, but he looks real close.
Well, the hunter, yeah, go ahead.
Of all of the languages that Arthur does know, he's going to try to speak the closest he thinks that a Null might know, other than common. He's going to try and speak to them in Orcish.
Yeah.
And just say, it's not wise to touch the book.
Yeah. They really don't seem to pay you much heed. Like maybe the hunter, the scout one kind of looks up briefly, but he opens the book and starts flipping through the pages until he gets to where you have that patch of hair from the undead knoll.
Mm-hmm.
And he he kind of looks at it, and he pulls it out, and he takes it over to the you would assume a barbarian, to the leader, and he kind of like there's a bit of barking back and forth, and then he turns around and looks at you, or the shaman looking one grabs it from the hunter one and turns and looks at you, Bazbear, and he goes, "How come you buy this?" In common.
Bazbear will close the book, place it back on his back, and will say, "Through combat."
And he kind of looks at you, and his sort of eyes narrow, and there's a bit of like sort of their barking knoll language between the three of them, and he looks back at you, and he says, "Then you have done the Thunderfangs a service a service. Then you have disposed you have disposed of the insult that the dead ones bring us."
I
He says, "My name is Thurna. This," he points to the hunter, "is Rurg," and he points to the leader, "and this is Chief Grerar." He goes, "We have traveled from the north. Much walking dead have we seen. Many of our own turned. We have been hunting them." He's like, "Chief Grerar would honor your service to our cause." He goes, he says, he says, "But first we have business with this one."
As do we.
He goes, Thurna looks at you and he's like, "What business do you have with this?" And he kind of looks at it and goes, "Pointy-eared gum."
This one is the only way to help us kill more of these dead ones you speak of.
And like, uh, like, he says, "How is that he is like, how is that story?"
They have access to a boat that will take us downriver.
He goes, he goes, he goes, "What's downriver?"
More allies to bring to our
Family.
cause. Yeah, family. More allies to bring to our cause. More blades against the dead ones.
He
Baz-
turns. Go ahead.
Bazbear actually notices an opportunity and looks towards the one that looks like a wise man of sorts and says,
Well, that's the one that's talking. That's
"Oh,
Thurna.
yeah," looks towards him and says, "Do you believe in the threads of fate and prophesy?"
And like, "There is purpose to all things."
Come, see the book. And Bazbear will open the book to page 1 and
All right.
usher this guy over.
All right. Yeah.
Book
So,
wordy. Badly written.
well,
Um,
Thurno will take a look at it. Archer,
and
it may not be apparent to anybody else, but Thurna is actually a female of the pack.
mm,
And the rest of you may not know this, but
yeah,
it's something Archer would probably know with being a ranger.
I feel like
as a sign of good faith to the other two while they're doing this, Arthur is going to put his weapons away while giving the other gnolls a look that's like, I'm putting mine down, you put yours down.
Their posture becomes a little less aggressive, but they don't necessarily put their weapons down. And Gailrad Tackard kind of looks around. She's like, excuse me, but I seem to be a little lost here. What is going on around here?
We were going to ask you about getting us passage downriver towards Green Creek, but
He motions towards what's going on with Basbeer and Thurna and says,
wizards.
She's like, and she kind of looks at you and goes, passage downriver, and what would make you have the impression that I could do that? And she hasn't taken her eyes fully off of the knoll. She still has, her sword drawn.
Basbeer at this point just says, "Quiet! More important matters are being spoken." And we'll look
Archer
at...
just gives the woman a kind of roguish smile and a shrug and mouths the word wizards.
And Basbeer is going to recount his vision with the book in hand to Thurna. The hand with the dagger, the blackened skull, the onyx rune, and the mausoleum with an eye. Seas of blood and waves of skulls. Death to all living kind.
Can I just add one thing that made me think of Mira? Look at the skull. See the skull. The piece of bone removed.
The piece of bone removed. God damn it. But yeah.
Yeah. So I think Thurna nods at your presentation here and reads a bit of the book, and she goes, she's like, the house of the unliving.
Aye.
The pantheon of those who do not rest.
We've
you speak of.
We've already found much evidence of collusion with Nerathos.
He kind of looks. Yeah, I think, and kind of looks around and is like, says, we have been tracking some of their kind for the dishonor to our dead. Says, and there was it says, this one left a place where their people have been recently. It's like, who's like, we thought it was one of our best leads to find them.
Believe it or not, this will not be a simple task. Rooting out a single finger does not chop off the hand. Our goal is the head.
Like, can you see the head from where you stand?
Hey, Basbeer actually takes a moment to think about that. Probably says, not yet, but our journey leads us there. I have seen it.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh yeah, it just went quiet.
Howdy,
Yeah, I
howdy,
think-
howdy.
That's me. I forgot I was on mute. I think like Thurna seems to be considering, but the one that was introduced as Rurg, the hunter, the scout one, kind of But it seems to be leaning. It seems to be inspecting the book, like from it seems to be inspecting the book as well. And Thurna, kind of like shoos him away. And there's kind of shoos him away, and they kind of look around, and I think Gailrad, for her part, overhearing this part of the conversation, goes, "Oh, oh, I think I know what happened." Um, she goes, "You're probably not gonna know how to take this, but I was attempting to uh I had business at the Hiron Vineyards. I have a friend there that sometimes helps me get what you might call an advanced shipment. I went, they'd been quiet for a while. I attempted to go there and find out what was going on. Uh, kind of got turned back. There's a lot of undead in that area, and I still haven't heard anything from my friend. The Hirons are extremely wealthy and, of course, keep a large number of mercenaries, but as far as it, so I'm not entirely certain, but the roads to the Hiron Vineyard, at the very least, seem to be straggled with undead. A little hard to get anything in and out. And by a little hard, I mean even my friends and I haven't been able to make a delivery to or from there. That's why I was there. I was there to investigate and find out why. I didn't get very far. And to be honest with you, I was kind of got a bad feeling. The closest I got, I wanted gave me a really bad feeling, and I kind of didn't want to go any closer. Something seemed really, really wrong. When you work in my line of work, when you start feeling like there's danger, you kind of take precautions.
Does that include not telling anybody else?
That includes the fact that it hasn't been that long since I've been to the Hiron Vineyard. To be honest with you, you are the first people I've talked to. I haven't even reported in with the rest of my friends yet.
Yeah, I think Basbeer at this point is satisfied that this wise woman knows what's going on and is pacified for the most part. He's gonna slowly close his book and reset it on his back and say, "Then you have a taste of the urgency that that we require."
I well, I'm not entirely certain what you're talking about. All I know is that I can't get in and out of one of my more profitable uh, contacts, and then I was confronted by a bunch of gnolls, and you people showed up.
I I guess Basbeer probably would say this. He'd probably say, "Is your business more pressing," he says to the gnolls, "than the fate of your own lands?"
Let me get a. I feel like you're trying to negotiate with the gnolls here, so I'm going to
Yeah, I'll
need
make a
some kind of
diplomacy.
diplomacy. Yeah.
Ah, I rolled a 2. Damn it.
Yeah.
So 8 in total.
Yeah. I think there is there's a bit of barking between between them and what have you. You can all try sense motive checks if you want to see if you can read more into it.
Hey!
Oh shit! Way to go, Bazbeer and Arthur.
Whoa! Dream
Sarah-
team.
Saren.
Saren once again completely oblivious.
I feel so bad.
What are y'all are we fighting?
Void.
I think I feel like Sarah just kind of walks around the world in this beautiful oblivious place where she just doesn't know what's going on around.
Yeah,
Make
just this
your own
wonderful bubble.
kind of music.
Pretty much like me. Got it.
Yeah.
Bazbeer and Arthur, it becomes very, very clear to you very quickly that this Rurg, the hunter, does not trust Thurna, the wise woman, at all.
Hmm.
Grerar seems to be relatively impartial between the two of them.
Hmm.
So, let me see here. I think, oh, that makes so much more sense now. That makes sense. I think, I think what Thurna will turn back to you and say is, in honor of your service to us, Guerrero will grant you one broom. High Chief Guerrero will grant you one boon. And one only.
Out of character, my thought of what this boon should probably be your business with this lady is settled so that we can have our business with her.
Yeah, I think it would be either that or a non-aggression between us and the Knolls.
Yeah. That's a tough choice. But I think I don't mind fighting the Knolls later on. Just as long as we don't have to fight them now. Because there's more of
True.
them than us.
No,
And some of
there's
them...
3 of them, and there's 5 of us.
No, there's like a
more than
dozen
3.
Knolls, right?
There's like a
Oh.
dozen Knolls. Like there's the 3 ones that are important.
The 3 that have player
Okay.
classes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
there
yeah,
are
the
3
3
that are
important ones.
important.
I don't know
Yeah,
why in
are
my
the ones
brain
you
I thought
talked
they were
to,
the only
yeah.
ones here. If that's the case
No.
here, I think we have to pick the immediate.
Yeah. This boon would be that your business with Ms.
Tackard.
Miss Tackard, thank you, is settled. We have much more pressing needs at the moment.
There's a bit of barking amongst them, and the Thurna turns back to you and says, High Chief Grerar agrees for now. And he says, and they start to turn, and they all like the High Chief Grerar gives a signal, and the rest of them start to turn and like go out, like take off into the night. The hunter one keeps an eye. The named Rurg keeps an eye on you for a bit longer, and as the rest of them are wandering off, stops and looks at you and says, and says in common, says, says, I feel like we will meet in battle at some point. When that time comes, I hope you kill that one first. Turns and leaves.
Which one does he mean kill that one?
Well, he kind of nods in
Thurna?
the direction of Thurna.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. No politics. Simpler, but more
Politics.
violent. Politics, yeah.
Yeah.
Bazbeer will chirp in immediately with,
I believe that you now owe us a favor.
He's like, he goes, the High Chief granted you a favor.
oh, not
No,
him.
no.
Looking at,
Oh,
yeah,
Gailrad.
Tackert.
Tackert. Yeah,
Gailrad.
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 I think she kind of like looks at the departing Knowles and looks back at you. Looks like she's about to say something, and then holds her hands up and shrugs and says, I guess I owe you. Because she's like, what exactly are you wanting? And I hope that she's like, I hope there is at least some gratuity in there for my time and effort. I do have to report in with my friends at some point.
What good is gratuity if you were going to get eaten by gnolls?
Oh, well, if I was eaten by gnolls, I wouldn't need the gratuity now, would I? A dead person
Archer
doesn't.
just fucking rolls his eyes so hard that he has to deal with this fucking bullshit right now.
She says, and I only said I hope. I didn't say I necessarily expected. The tone of your pale friend here belies the idea that he's expecting at least not to pay. And she's like, not that I'd expect anything different from what are you, a dwarf? Whatever you are, you're old. She's like, and so that alone, if you're a dwarf, then that means double whammy on the I am only hoping to get paid. Something.
He says, I'm something much worse than a dwarf. I'm an Uthuran. Our concept of money is quite,
and he kind of rolls his hand around,
crude.
he'll say with like a slight smile on his face.
She looks at you and she's like, I don't even know what that is. And I think there's a moment like I think you hear a low whistle come from above you on top, like sort of on top of like the barn, and looking up, you see Fash, who is now sitting with his legs hanging off of the crest of the roof, and he's kind of got a like he's got like his like I don't guess you can necessarily see from that angle, but he's like, well, I thought that one might get dicey there for a minute.
You
Says,
and
I'll
me
be down in a
both.
minute. It's like it kind of like he disappears like he's about to like it's very obvious to the rest of you that he took the time to sneak up on top of the roof to get a better vantage point if things went crazy. He's like he climbs down. Is like and I think Gailrad Tackard looks at him and she's like looks up and she's like, oh, son of an elf eating bugbear. And then,
Don't tell me
uh,
you know him too.
only by reputation. You're not here to try to shut us down again, are you? I'm assuming you're working for Baron Mulcaine if he's around.
Look, I want to go home. I don't know what you're talking. No. Yes, we work for him. Good God.
Your purview is quite a petty one in the face of the adversaries we currently face.
You
Zombies,
keep
skeletons, werewolves. We've had a bit of a run lately.
sounds like this is sounds like you're just sort of bumbling down the path if you're running into all of that.
That,
Mhm.
and he like takes a step closer and kind of leans towards her. Or something's in the path.
She just kind of smiles and she goes, "Whatever your business is, as long as you're not here to close us down, then I'm willing to talk." And she's
But I
like,
think you're going to be doing more than just talking. I think you're going to get us on that boat, and we're going to go downstream, and we're all going to pretend that we didn't just diplomatize with a bunch of gnolls.
I think that, like, yeah, she's like, I'll need a bit of time." She's like, well, like I said, I have to talk to a few friends, but suppose, and she's like, if you'll vouch that he's not going to be bringing any more extra governmental enforcement our way. He
Mr.
says,
Falath?
"Yes, Mr. Falath. A couple years ago, he led an investigation that nearly shut our operations down."
Oh
He's like,
no, Basbier was just looking at Fash, being like, "Do we have an agreement?"
"Oh yeah." Fash, as he kind of like comes climbing down, he goes, "Yeah, yeah." He stops for a minute. He looks down. He's like, "Look, your smuggling operation is one, outside of the barony for the time being, and two, we do the my team makes a salient point. We have more pressing concerns." I'm like, "Tell you what," he says. Uh, he says, I won't tell the intelligence service anything about your operations that we see in the course of you getting us down the river, as long as you get us down the river." Do you think she kind of looks at it and she's like, uh, and she's like, "Fine, meet me back here tomorrow morning. I'll make the arrangements. Hopefully we'll be able to get this deal, this or arrangement accomplished without too much of a hassle." She's like, um, she kind of, and I think she kind of like, she kind of says, "If you don't mind, I was rather hoping to get a little bit of rest before I start making arrangements."
Might be worth your better. Might be better for your safety if you come into town to do that. We can't guarantee that gnolls are the only things prowling around these woods.
Well, be that as it may, the arrangements I need to make are out here. He says, "You're welcome to find a pile of hay to crash on if you're that worried about my safety, but I'm going to be moving around a bit to arrange what needs to be arranged."
I feel like
'Cause
this was a perfect time for Arthur to put on the horrible, shitty, roguish charm and be like, "Not every day a lovely woman offers for me to roll around in the hay." And he's gonna make his way towards the hay.
she just shakes her head and whatnot. And I think this is probably a good place to stop for the day. So maybe that's like, unless anybody has a further scene or conversation they need to have. Anybody? Bella?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
All right. So I think our last shot is of you guys, maybe trying to figure out how you're going to arrange yourselves to sleep. Um, for her part, she climbs up the inside of the barn to like a spot up in the like the second story kind of area There's no actual ladder going up there. That was broken and rotted a long time ago. She just climbs up there across up the wall. You're guessing that's part of the reason she remains undisturbed is because you actually have to climb up a wall to get to where she stays at.
Hmm.
But yeah, maybe that's kind of like the last scene we get. And let's go ahead and get everybody's choice for players award, and we'll start getting. And whoever wants to start the sign-offs can start the sign-offs.
I'll start. Hello, everybody. Hi, my name is Mira, also known as Mira Shades GM. Today, you caught me playing Bazbeer Foreteller, previously known as Bazbeer the Chronicler, as has been learned by the party. You can catch me on Saturdays, of course. You can also catch me on Tuesdays, where you guys are, where we are playing in Era Indomitus Quintus Superior. That's the full title, right?
Yes.
Yes. Playing as Calcitrare Ostium, the subductor, not intercessor. We're about to be fighting in Big Gun, Massive Ballistus. So get hyped for that. Other than that, I'm around, and you can catch me whenever. So that'll be my sign off.
All right. Who wants to go next?
Can go next. Hi, hello, friendolas. My name is Rowan, otherwise known as Nightheart. Caught me here today playing Arthur Tiller, who is getting really sick that everyone else seems to know his backstory other than him. You can also find me here on every other Tuesday, not this Tuesday, but the upcoming Tuesday, where I run Era Indomitus Quintus Superior, a Dark Heresy 2.0 game set during the Era Indomitus, where a bunch of these guys are trying to figure out what to do to help prevent their world from completely falling to chaos, where they are in Big Gun. And they're going to have to use their less big, but still considerably sized guns in order to solve their problems. And you can also catch me here on Wednesdays, where I am in Seafoam Bay, where I play Arin Wieldgrasp the Witch, and their horrible, horrible long Furby pet. That is it for me.
All right. Next. Who's up? Yeah, there we go.
I'll go. I'm Scott, and I rolled bad completely all day, so I don't have a clue what happened today at all. I just stared at the ground. And that happens. It's okay. I still had fun, and that's the point. And this is the only thing I'm in. I played Timmy. I didn't even say what my name was. Saren. There's too many words. All right, that's it. I'm done. Bye.
And we still have one
Okay.
more. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, I'm Brian. I'm playing Tamara, the lovely little spell scale fire dancer, whatever you want to call her. Yeah, this has been an interesting one. It's going to get even more interesting as we make our way downriver. You can also find me on Tuesdays when the Dark Heresy game is playing, where I play Sister Noviana, the battle sister that, well, is going to get ready to take out a big gun with her little guns. But you'll have to tune in to see that. And that's it for me.
All right.
All right.
Did we get everybody?
Yes, because Joe had to
sir.
leave a little early.
Okay. That's what happened. I forgot about that. All right. With that said, let's do some bookkeeping. Everybody give yourself 200 XP. And
Nice.
Bazbeer wins tonight for Player's Choice, getting 50 XP.
Thanks, y'all.
And with that said, I am the Just a King Zerat, and you can catch me here every other Saturday for Lands of Lazrikaan. and we are just getting cooking. I've been looking forward to a couple of these things here tonight. One of which the introduction of the Wooden Foot smuggling ring and Gailrad Tackard, who's an NPC that my daughter helped me create.
Ah,
She,
Aww.
so because I was talking about I needed a smuggler, and we talked it through, and she had some ideas, and I integrated them. So,
Nice.
yeah.
That's
So
always nice.
the I am not in anything else right at this point in time. I don't have quite as much time as I used to on my hands, but I still enjoy being here. I still enjoying all of this. You know, but until next time, let's get in R.I.P. Posker and get out of here. R.I.P.
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 Oscar.